Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Embracing Joy podcast. And I'm so excited for our special guest today, Dr. Dina Strahan, who Strahan?
Strawn.
Strawn. Thank you for correcting me,
Yeah,
Dr. Dina Strawn, who thrives as a dermatologist, entrepreneur, and a mom. And she's going to talk about balancing success and joy. My apologies for the pronunciation.
no worries.
But it's such a pleasure having you today about and to discuss this very important topic. Before we get into our topic today, I want to tell you more about Dr. Strawn. She is an internationally recognized Harvard and Yale-educated board-certified dermatologist, entrepreneur, consultant, author, and speaker. She's the founder and director of is Aglow Dermatology, a premier private practice in New York City. Dr. Strawn has been cited in a variety of local and national media, including the Netflix docuseries The Black Beauty Effect. It's such an honor to have you on. And I know it's an honor for all of those people listening because you've accomplished so much and you still are able to find joy and do more than what's expected. So I think you can share a lot with our audience today. So before we get started, we do a warm up game, which is convergence. So on the count of three, we'll say the first word that comes to mind. One, two, three.
Maple.
Purple. Maple?
Maple.
Maple. I said purple, so they kind of have a pull, but maple and purple. So something that combines those two together. One, two, three. Flower,
Leaves.
flower,
Leaves.
leaves and flower. Okay, all right. So flower and leaves, something that combines those two is one, two, three. Plants.
Stem.
Plants and stem. Okay. Okay. One, two, three. Green.
Earth.
Oh, I was thinking earth too. Okay, so earth and green, something that connects those two. It can be broad, it doesn't have to be exactly, but just the word that comes to mind. Earth and green. One, two, three. Ground.
Grass.
Oh, that was a good one. I put ground. I think grass is the right. Okay, grass and ground. One, two, three. Worm.
Dirt.
Oh, dirt. That's a good one. Worms. So worms and dirt. Okay. One, two, three.
Hole.
Nature. Nature.
I did
What was
hole for wormhole in the dirt.
Oh, yeah, wow, okay. Yeah, I put nature and whole. Okay. You said earth already, so we're not supposed to say it same thing
Same
again.
word.
Mm-mm. Nature and whole. One, two, three. Brown.
I was thinking cave.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Cave and brown, and it could be anything. It doesn't have to be connected to exactly. So something from cave and brown. One, two, three. Bats. You say that?
Thinking home.
What was yours?
Home.
Home. Okay, home.
Somebody's home.
Okay, home and bats. One, two, three. Puppy.
Dracula.
Oh, Dracula. I was thinking of pet, like in the okay, Dracula. So Dracula and a puppy. All right, I think we veered left, but that's okay. We'll spin like two more, and we'll see how it goes. So, so Dracula and
Pup.
puppy. Okay, one, two, three.
Blood.
Family. Oh, blood. That's a good one. I was thinking there family and blood go together, right?
Yeah,
They do.
that's it. That
That's
works.
it, it does. It does.
Your family and your blood.
In your blood. Yeah, your family and your blood. Okay, so that was our warm-up game just to get started and to just relax and get our brain moving. So let's go into some of the questions. So, Dr. Strawn, okay, so we know that you're internationally recognized and you're an author and you also have your dermatology practice. How have you learned to define your success more on your terms? Because it doesn't fit into the normal model of just being a dermatologist and practicing clinically.
I would say that I kind of went with what I was attracted to. I mean, the
Mhm,
career that I have now is not the career that I thought I would have. I actually thought I would just stay in academia, and that's what I did in the beginning of my career. And then, I was finding that there were just certain things about that weren't what I was expecting or what I wanted.
mhm,
So I went off and went into private practice, which is actually something I did not want to do. So I did it out of necessity, and then I just used things that I just knew how to do, other skills that I had to make it
mhm,
work. So I guess I had that confidence to go do it because I knew I had certain skills, even though it's not exactly what I wanted, and that made it work for me.
okay.
So that would be my answer. That
Mhm,
I looked at the situation, I looked at myself, and I found a path that I thought I could do that I would like.
mhm. So part of when you went to private practice, it encouraged you to do the other things, right? To become an author, to be entrepreneur, so because it goes with the private practice to
Well,
build.
in New York, it's so competitive, and then also there are just other skills I had. That's one of the reasons why I was interested in academia. I liked doing a variety of things. That's one of the things that had attracted me to dermatology.
Mhm.
So I was able to use that to make myself successful in private practice and then also engage those other parts of my brain.
What would you say the key skill I mean, you have plenty of skills, but what were the maybe 3 key skills that you had that made private practice something that you could do?
I think it was the ability to learn new things and that kind of self-awareness around new things. I'd always been somebody who would learn things outside of just medicine. So my first job, I was in academia and I actually ran a residency program that was on probation because they had only one faculty member, my boss, who was the chair. He traveled a lot. So he had this small residency program in Los Angeles, but he wasn't even physically present half the week. So me just being a physical presence was important. And a lot of what I did were I kind of ran the program and I didn't get as much guidance from him because he just wasn't physically present. He
Mhm,
was very active. He was actually very well known, but I was able to do that because I had been to good places, I had trained in good places, and I just paid attention to what we were doing. So I just took whatever I thought was missing where I was in that job from my own experiences and just added that. I didn't realize that those were requirements. No one told me that. I just did it.
mhm.
So I was, able to learn new things. I mean, my first day on that job, I was actually in charge. Everyone was at a meeting except a couple people, and I showed up and I was the boss. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't even know where the bathroom is.
Mhm.
But we'll roll with this. And so I think, if you can learn new things, then you can do well in private practice.
That's great. I mean, that's a skill that a lot of physicians have, because we go through residency, we go through attendingships, you learn new things, and of course, other professionals as well.
But sometimes people feel like after residency, it's like, all right, I've done my learning. You know what I mean? I just want to be a
Mhm.
doctor now. And, that's not how that works.
Yes, it's important to continue to have a learner's mindset. Yeah, a learner's mindset. But you want to take a break, but you can take breaks between
Of
learning,
course.
but
I
good to
mean, yeah,
continue to yeah,
yeah.
a
It
learner's
just, I mean, as you need it. I mean, sometimes there's more required than other times. And I'd say that, in this century, we've just lived through a faster cycles of disruption The world's always changing, but I'd say that it's changing faster than it had like maybe 50 years ago. So you have to kind of recalibrate and pivot a lot more now than probably in generations past of doctors.
I would agree with that, especially with the technology's changing, everything is changing at a faster rate, like you said.
Yeah.
Mhm. So you've been able to kind of have your profound career, but many high achieving professionals, they feel like they have to sacrifice their joy to maintain or to obtain success. What are some mindset shifts that you've used to prevent burnout so you can continue to excel as you know, as the years pass in your career?
I think that a lot of that depends on what is driving you. I felt like when I was one of the reasons I went into private practice is that I wasn't finding jobs that I felt like I could be happy to go to every day. And I kind of felt like, well, what was the point of me doing all this work, hitting the books, at the fancy college and medical school where other people were like having fun, on spring break, doing all those extra things, doing these things to get into this competitive thing that I wanted and I liked so that I could spend my time in a situation that I didn't like as my life,
Mhm.
So I had a requirement that, I'm not going to hold my nose at a job waiting to retire. Like I've been in places where it's like, oh, if I just stuck out there, I could just be retired now with all these benefits. But that would be decades of suffering through a situation I didn't like. And, your tomorrow is not promised. So you could wait until you can retire and get certain benefits from a job and then like get sick or die or, before that time even comes and you gave up your youth, your prime. So it's always been important to me that my everyday is as I like it. I mean, that doesn't mean that there isn't work. That doesn't mean that things aren't hard. That doesn't mean that there aren't frustrations. But I've set up my day to my liking as much as I can. That's worked for me. So when I started my practice, I didn't want to commute with everybody else, and it actually just worked out. So I had my hours from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., which actually made it easy to build the practice because people love coming at their lunch break and
Mhm.
people love coming after work. It's a little different now after the pandemic. People work differently, but in the old school way of working, where people generally work 9 to 5, having my hours a little bit off, which allowed me to have time for myself during regular business hours. If I needed to go to the doctor or I needed to run an errand, I had a couple hours every day. I could do it first thing in the morning without having to take time off. And then I'd be there for my patients when they had time off. I didn't have to commute when everyone else was commuting in a rush hour. So it just
Mhm.
kept my life very pleasant.
Yeah, it's very insightful that you decided to not practice the way everybody else practice, because people will start their own practice but feel that they need to make everything run the same way that other large academic centers may practice, and they may burn themselves out in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not tailored to their needs.
Yeah. It's not sustainable. And then when I had
Mhm.
my child, I stopped doing as many after 5. I didn't do that every day. I didn't do 5 to 7 every day because of her schedule. And I didn't want to get home late and I was, a little more fatigued at that time, but it was just nice to be able to have that flexibility.
So, knowing how about any other type of mindset shifts, would you say? I know making your day, knowing how you want to practice, making your day to your liking. What do you mean by that? Is there any specific things that you do within your day to make, other than the practice schedule, but say your routine that helps you make your day into your liking?
I mean, it's just things like, I eat lunch. I take a lunch break. I mean, I
Mhm.
was surprised to see how many of my colleagues would like walk into rooms wiping crumbs off of their faces. And that just didn't seem like a way to live.
Mhm.
like a long-term thing, like maybe in a day when you're running over or something like that, but having that kind of, civility in my own life for me. I mean, there was
Mhm.
a period where it's like I would go out and I would sit at a restaurant and have someone serve me lunch because I, especially when my daughter was born, because it's just like I was just giving and doing all the time. I took a little half hour where I sat down and someone brought me something instead of me doing everything and
Mhm.
me serving everyone. That really does make it more sustainable. It's not like, I took myself on a cruise. Like, if you live to go on a cruise, that's a lot of your life and your days waiting to go on the trip. I mean, I gave myself some of that every day, even if it's
Yeah.
getting up early. I've always been like that. When I was an intern and I had to be at work at like, I think it was 6 o'clock. I think we started round. We did our pre-rounds at 6:30, so you had to
Mhm.
be there at 6. I used to get there at 5:30 because I wanted to eat breakfast. And a lot of times, when I was doing internal medicine intern work, your patients are sick. You don't
Mhm.
get to eat breakfast. I used to bike to work. I was very active, so I needed 3 meals a day. So I would get
Mhm.
there early and I'd eat breakfast before I pre-rounded on my patients. And some of my teammates would complain because it's like, oh, you should eat breakfast with the team, but the team doesn't always eat breakfast because someone's having chest pain. We're going to address that, and that
Mhm.
might take a couple hours before we have something other responsibility. But I knew that was important to me. I'd always, when I was on call, I'd eat. People would brag about, oh, I missed dinner. Oh, did you have dinner? I'm like, I'm here doing the same work that you did, so
Mhm.
maybe you should organize your time better. You're not going to make me feel bad because I actually took 15 whole minutes and went and got a meal so
Well,
that I.
that is something unique. Well, I don't know how unique it is, but in the culture of medicine is to self-sacrifice to the point where you don't eat, you don't sleep, or, "Did you use the restroom?" No, I didn't use the restroom all day." But those are the very basic self-care things that we should all prioritize, like
Yeah.
making sure you eat, making sure you sleep, making sure you use the restroom, making sure you drink your water.
Yeah,
Um
it's a mindset because
Mm.
I remember there's a funny little incident in medical school where I was on a surgical rotation, but we had a didactic session we were required to go to. So they sent us out, they told us to scrub out. And so on my way there, I picked up some food cart food that was right next to the auditorium and I was sitting there. I was a little bit early. I was eating. One of my classmates who wanted to be a surgeon, and he's just like, "Oh, you're having lunch. I missed lunch." I said, "Listen, we're both sitting here in an empty hall. You passed the same food cart I passed. You decided that you weren't going to buy anything for lunch. That's on you." I said, "You're not, you're sitting here watching me eat. You
Yeah.
could be eating too."
Yeah, but you're surprised that you're unique when you shouldn't be unique. Everyone should be eating.
I
Yeah.
mean, and it wasn't like you were neglecting anyone. You were actually sitting here waiting for everybody else who was probably at the food cart.
Yeah, so my other question for you is, since you've been featured on local media, even the Netflix series, The Black Beauty Effect, how would you see joy influencing the way you lead your practice or inspire patients, or how does it contribute to conversations around beauty and health?
You mean in terms of being in media?
In terms of So you joy by picking things that pick you back in terms of your practice, how you lead your practice, how you inspire patients. So, like they're inspired by not just beauty, but the joy or living better or feeling more youthful. And so how does that contribute to the conversation? How would you say joy contributes to the conversation around beauty and health?
Well, I would say that when you're looking for the services of anyone, say someone like me, a dermatologist, I mean, you're trying to access me to solve a problem. And so what we need to focus on is how you coming to see me is going to alleviate whatever it is that is bothering you and how I can be of service to you. I'm very kind of mission focused. I kind of run my practice like an airport. And some people say that's not a good way to describe it. That's negative. I actually disagree. Airports are very regulated. You know what to
Mhm.
expect. They have a big responsibility. And I think it's like miraculous that we can travel through the air, which is amazing, and survive. And when we don't have wings and we can't fly, and get someplace very far away fast. And it takes a lot to make that happen, and we have to be focused. I mean, you don't go and have your ticket to go to France and then stand around and say, "Oh, do you guys fly to Italy too?" Like when you're trying to check in, you have to like go through your process, and your flight, if it's a 6-hour flight to get from New York to LA, you know, 3 hours you're not going to be there. So it's sort of like people have to, I'd say, in terms of joy, I'd say a lot of people find this distraction in not being joyful instead of pulling together their resources and thinking about how they want to use a resource they have in front of them to accomplish something that they want to accomplish. So if we're on a plane flying to Rome right now,
Mhm.
then let's focus on that so that we can get there. And you may have an interest in going to all these other places too. And here's the magazine, and you could look at all the places that we fly. But it's you do have to engage in the moment of what you're doing. I mean, most people aren't coming to a doctor full of joy
Right.
because you only go to it's usually you have a problem or you have a fear or
Mhm.
concern. So you can focus on that, or you could say, wow, I have this resource, this person who can help me.
Definitely. So, as a that's a good way to put it as a physicians that, we're there, of course, to solve a problem, but there's also joy in kind of knowing where you're headed and kind of
Yeah.
embracing what you have along that journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then knowing that you do have help within that journey, as physician, you have physicians, you have community that can also help rather than looking at someone else's path because you're on your we're all on our own destinations. That's how I took it. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think people especially nowadays, people get caught up in drama. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think it's therapeutic or helpful. We all have feelings. We all have negative feelings, positive feelings. We go through feelings. Not everything, it's not necessarily helpful to concentrate a lot of negative feeling on things. And I feel like, having practiced as long as I have, over 25 years, I've seen a
Mhm.
difference in how people come in to the office. And I think people that really kind of need to focus more on what they want and where they're going and whether or not they're on that path rather than rolling around in like negative feelings sometimes.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's very powerful because people that they are maybe in negative feelings because of comparison, especially in dermatology of you, because of TikTok, Instagram, they can get in comparison and or have negative feelings about, things about their face, but
Well, it's not always just cosmetic
it's
things. I
not
mean, it could
cosmetic
just
things.
be anything. It's you could, we focus a lot on that. In the past, it would be push your feelings down. And now we're like, explore your feelings. But you can overdo it to the point where this is a simple problem. You have a splinter, maybe we can remove it and you can keep it moving.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of dwelling in the negative, dwelling
Yeah.
in those feelings. Yeah. Yeah. So, this has been such a great conversation. We learned a lot about your journey in your private practice, as well as ways to navigate, not get burnt out, meaning find what fits you. If your current location job doesn't really fit you for 7 years, 10 years, you can change, especially when you're in your prime. We talked about the power of joy and not dwelling in the negative feelings, especially with everything that's going on today. And I want to do our wrap up questions, which are who is a model for joy in your life, Dr. Strawn,
I
and
would
why?
say Tweety Bird, but I'm sorry.
It's okay. You don't have to be sorry.
You were,
Yeah,
yeah, I interrupted
I
you.
just, I said, and why?
Tweety Bird just kind of lives his life, and there are, Sylvester's after him, and he ends up being okay. And Sylvester gets, caught, hoisted up by his own petard because Tweety
Mhm.
Bird's focused on, oh, he'll see Sylvester. I thought I saw a putty cat. I thought, there's a problem. But he doesn't like, focus on that. He flies away or does whatever he does. It's like, oh, I don't want to be around him, and then just goes back living his life. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's not that easy to be Tweety Bird, but Sylvester represents even a life-threatening thing to a Tweety Bird. But it's funny how Tweety Bird's just like, oh, I thought someone
Mhm.
was coming for me. And he just like he somehow is like,
Yeah.
protected and blessed.
Yes. I think that's a good, especially a good way to go about it is like, the negative things come, but you're protected and blessed, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like Tweety Bird. So it can come, but you just see it and move past it. Like, oh, okay, or it's gonna pass. Yeah. So, which, if we all were Tweety Bird, that would be awesome. So, if you were baking a cake of joy, what would be your top three ingredients?
Ooh, I mean, do you mean like food ingredients or
A metaphorical cake. Yeah,
metaphorical?
yeah, sometimes I get really sometimes you do
I'd
the both
say
together.
clarity,
Okay, clarity.
clarity, self-awareness, and I'd say confidence.
Okay, clarity, self-awareness, and confidence. Great ingredients for your cake of joy. So this is, like I said, a wonderful conversation. It was very joyful, and it was a pleasure speaking with you. How can our audience best find you if they wanted to, say, join your practice or learn more about your entrepreneurship ventures or your book? How can they contact you?
Well, they can find my practice at dinastrachanmd.com. That's DINASTRACHANMD.com, or aglowdermatology.com goes to the same webpage. They can follow me on Instagram
Mhm.
at Dr. Dina MD. That's DRDINAMD.com. I mean, DRDINAMD. I am on LinkedIn also as Dr. Dina MD. And we have a YouTube page, which you can get to from our main webpage, but I'm sure you can put a link down in the comments
I'll
as
put a
well.
link. I'll put a link. So thank you very much for this conversation. To everyone listening, thank you for listening with us, and please like and share this episode with a friend, and stay tuned for the next episode so that we can all embrace more joy. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.